let's say you can have a meaningful life by adopting responsibility. Be watching YouTube less. Comparing yourself to who you are now, that's a game you can win. And like I've seen this be effective in many, many cases in my clinical practice, for example. It's like you take stock of where you are, you know, what your advantages are and what your disadvantages are, and then you start with a little humility on the path of incremental improvement. And you know, incremental improvement compounds. And so you can get a long ways, and then it's, you see, because trajectory in some sense is more important than position for human beings. I mean, if you're starving to death and deal, that's not the situation that I'm describing. But you know, if you've got the bare necessities of life, and so you're not surrounded by absolute privation, what you really want is to see that you're on an uphill path, you know, something that's got the right slope, and you can start anywhere on that path, and you can improve 0.5% a day or 1/4% a day, and you think, well, that's not very much. It's like, it's 100%. If it's 1/4% a day, it's 100% in 4 years, and that doesn't count compounding, you know, which means it's actually going to happen a lot faster. But I believe that the world is constructed so that each person plays a vital role, and so every time that someone gets their act together, it's like, great, that's going to have way more positive effect than you think, and stave off an awful lot of trouble. Because someone who goes bad can do an unbelievable amount of damage. So even just not going bad is a good thing. So one of the things I learned from Carl Jung, whom I have great respect for, is that we necessarily exist inside a hierarchy of values. And that manifests itself all the time, because in order to act, things have to come to a point, right? For you to do something, you have to decide at that moment that that thing is more important to do than anything else that you're doing. And it isn't only how you act, it's even how you perceive. Because when you look at the world, you look at some things, one thing, rather than all the other things you could look at. So even to look at something, and this is technically true, you have to value the thing that you're looking at. Okay, so you're always using values to interact with the world, perceptually and in terms of action. Now those values are organized, otherwise you're a chaotic mess. So they're organized. There's some consistency in what you do. Right? There's a narrative driving it. That's another way of looking at it. It means you exist inside a value hierarchy. Some things are more important than others. Some of the things that are important to you are even more important than other things that are important
to other people.
Yes, well, to you, to other people, period. Right. But you're pointing towards something. Now, you might be fragmented and pointing to a bunch of contradictory things, but that's not helpful. Let's assume that you're a reasonably integrated person.
Okay.
And so you're pursuing something of value. It's at the top of your hierarchy. Functionally speaking, whatever that is at the top of your hierarchy, that's God for you. And you might say, well, I don't believe in God. It's like, yeah, but you still have,
something that's your God.
You have an ultimate value that performs the function that a deity would perform.
I agree with that.
And so there's the idea of the noble aim. And it's not something, it's something that's necessary. It's the bread that people cannot live without, right? That's not physical bread. It's the noble aim. And what is that? Well, it's to pay attention, it's to speak properly, it's to confront chaos, it's to make a better world. It's something like that. And that's enough of a noble aim so that you can stand up without you know, cringing at the very thought of your own existence so that you can do something that's worthwhile to justify your wretched position on the planet. And whatever it is that is you has this capacity to experience reality and to transform it, which is a very strange thing, you know. You can conceptualize a future in your imagination, and then you can work and make that manifest. You participate in the process of creation. That's an amazing idea because it gives consciousness a constitutive role in the cosmos.
Okay, if you just sit there, you'll die. You can't just sit there. You have to go act out in the world. Okay, so act towards what? Well, that's whatever your aspiration is. You have to have an aim. Okay, well, what should the aim be? Well, it should be something worth doing, let's say. Why do something that you don't feel is worth doing? What do you think's worth doing? Well, if you watch other people and you judge when they're doing something worthwhile, you usually judge them positively if you see that they're taking responsibility, at least for themselves. What, do you want to be completely useless so other people have to take care of you? That's pretty pathetic. And maybe you could get your act together so you're taking care of yourself and your family. And maybe you could even do better than that and take care of yourself and your family and your community. Well, good for you. That's responsibility and that's an aim. Well, here's one of the things that's cool about that is that your life doesn't have meaning without aspiration or an aim. Okay, so you need a hierarchy of values. There's got to be something at the top. It's got to be something important. If you don't have that, your life doesn't have any meaning. So if you criticize the hierarchy or even the idea of hierarchy, you destroy the idea of aspiration, and then people have nothing. Well, that's not helpful. People are built for a struggle and they're built for a weight, and you want to take on a heavy burden voluntarily. See if you can put yourself together. See what you can do out in the world while you're waiting to die. It's an all-in game. It better be worthwhile. Try to be a good person, not because it's your duty precisely, because that's the proper way to live,